One of the reasons I respect Billy Joel like so much, besides the fact that he's probably, if not the greatest, one of the greatest singer, songwriter, pianist that has ever lived on earth, is the fact that he takes pride in his work. He cares about his work. Like, in other words, he still owns, he's one of the very few, very, very successful musicians. I'm talking like top of the hill success musicians that own his own catalog still. A lot like Bob Dylan sold his catalog. You know, we all know the famous story with Michael Jackson, how he sold the catalog, I believe. At the end, you know, it was out of desperation, you know, to keep living his lifestyle, and how I believe Michael Jackson bought the Beatles catalog. So, I mean, there's a lot of crazy stories out there. But long story short is that the person who doesn't sell his catalog is Billy Joel, because he cares. He actually cares about the fact that, you know, he has permission. Like, in other words, he gets to choose how these songs are used. Like, you know, they can't just throw it in some corny, like, commercial, or they can't throw it in something that he would feel would make the song, you know, look stupid or embarrassing. He has that right to say yes or no, or where he wants the song used. His songs, in other words, his whole catalog. And people probably offered Billy, I would think, hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. And yet still, because he said he actually had got offers, and he turned it down. That's how much he cares. Think about it. Imagine someone came to Billy Joel and said, I'll give you 300 million or 400 million, whatever it is, 500 million. He's Billy Joel. I wouldn't even be surprised if it was close to $1 billion. I mean, Howard Stern once made a joke. He was interviewing Billy Joel saying, you're talking probably $1 billion or more for your catalog. And Billy's like, look, I mean, if somebody offered me $1 billion, I'd probably sell it. He made the joke from The Godfather. He says, after all, the movie, The Godfather, the part where they go, after all, we're not communists, right? He's funny. But anyway, he was definitely offered in the high hundreds of millions, and he turned it down because he wants to reserve the right. He looks at his songs like his children, and he wants to make sure that they are represented correctly in the way that he feels is in the best interest of his children, his songs. But then you take a guy like Stephen King, who just collects a couple of $1 million bucks. I don't know what he got. I don't think it's that much. He get hundreds of millions. Maybe he got a couple of million, okay, for this movie Firestarter that he approves. He gives the thumbs up. That has to be the worst remake of a movie in the history of all movies. The only reason I would tell you to watch it is if you want a night where you're just very down and you just want to maybe end it with a bang, where you physically get sick and you just have the most horrible, most, disappointing experience. If you just want to end your night really bad, end it by watching Firestarter. And obviously Stephen King doesn't give a shit about his work, because why would he approve something like this? Why? Just for a couple of $1 million? Listen, I'm not exaggerating. This is the worst remake. This is the worst screenplay ever written. It's just the worst movie ever. Nothing tops this. There is no movie that has ever been this bad. So for Stephen King, who I always had great respect for as being the best of the best, in terms of horror and horror writing, and just like his name, Stephen King, I felt he was a king. But he might be turning into a queen now, because how could you approve something like this? How could you give thumbs up on the most disgusting, pathetic movie that this was? I hope that whatever it was, that $2 million, I hope you have a good couple of porterhouse steaks. I hope you go out and enjoy yourself, because you ruined one of your best works, Stephen King. You ruined an iconic movie, and you should be ashamed of yourself. Be more like Billy Joel. Take pride in your children. Take pride in your work. Don't sell out, okay? But that's exactly what you did, Stephen King. You sold out.